Ever seen someone light a match, then act surprised when the whole house goes up in flames? That's Rachel Zegler right now. Disney's Snow White remake was already barely hanging on. Then South Park came along and casually booted it off a cliff. And the best part? They did it with that classic South Park energy, unbothered, unapologetic, and not even remotely worried about who gets offended. While Rachel Zegler was still out here trying to do damage control over the film's controversies, South Park strolled in, torched the entire movie and her in one go, then walked off like it was just another Tuesday. Disney? Left scrambling like someone hit reply all during a corporate crisis. And no, this doesn't end with a few memes and laughs. South Park didn't just roast Snow White and Rachel, they vaporized them.
Will you check under the bed and make sure there's no Disney executives under there?
And now, word is South Park is cooking up a brand new DEI special. So buckle up, because this isn't just a Hollywood misstep, it's a full-blown meltdown happening in real time. And South Park? They're not just pointing it out, they're throwing gasoline on the fire. But to really appreciate this beautiful train wreck, we need to rewind a bit. Disney's been going through an identity crisis bigger than your cousin after their third gap year. Every move lately screams asterisk, please like us. Asterisk, they've been reshuffling characters, rewriting plots, and treating beloved classics like Pinterest DIY projects. You know, the kind that look great online until you actually try to make one. Cue Snow White. From the jump, this remake had fans raising eyebrows. Casting Rachel Zegler, reimagining the plot, stripping away the romance that defined the original, then the whole dwarf controversy on top of it? Yeah, fans were not happy. Then South Park saw the chaos and said, asterisk, hold my beer. Asterisk entered joining the Panderverse. And oh, they did not hold back. They basically said what the internet's been screaming for months. Louder, funnier, and with zero filter.
Oh, not again. Yeah, only this time, it wasn't just me. They were taking all my favorite people and replacing them with diverse women complaining about the patriarchy.
You ever see someone light a match and act shocked when the whole house goes up in flames? That's Rachel Zegler right now. Disney's Snow White remake was already hanging by a thread, and then South Park came along and casually kicked it off a cliff. And the best part? They did it with their signature "we don't care who gets offended" energy. Classic South Park. While Rachel was still scrambling to do damage control over the film's controversies, South Park just swooped in, roasted the entire project and her, and walked off like it was just another Tuesday. Disney? Left scrambling like someone hit reply all during a company-wide meltdown. And trust me, this doesn't end with a few memes and jokes. South Park didn't just roast Snow White and Rachel, they incinerated them. And now, rumor has it they're cooking up a brand new DEI special. Yep, this Hollywood disaster is still unfolding in real time, and South Park just decided to pour gasoline on the fire. But to really appreciate this glorious train wreck, we need to rewind. See, Disney's been in the middle of an identity crisis, bigger than your cousin after their third gap year. Every move screams, please like us. They've been reshuffling characters, rewriting plots, and treating beloved classics like Pinterest DIYs. You know, the kind that look great online, but fall apart the second you try to make them.
Cue Snow White.
The red flags were there from day one. Casting Rachel Zegler, reimagining the plot, axing the romance entirely, and of course, the controversy over the dwarves. Fans were furious. Then South Park saw the chaos brewing and said, hold my beer. In their joining the Panderverse special, they went full scorched earth. The South Park crew was reimagined as grown women of color, a direct parody of Hollywood's obsession with ticking diversity boxes. And let's be real, Disney practically invited this roast with how they've handled Snow White. The special mocked how authentic stories are being gutted and repackaged into hollow, checkbox-driven spectacles. The message? Congrats, Disney. You pandered so hard, you forgot to tell a good story. Brutal. And Rachel Zegler? Front and center in the crosshairs. Now look, people want diversity in film. But the way Disney's been doing it feels more like checking corporate boxes than telling meaningful, inclusive stories. And that made Snow White an easy target. Let's not pretend the name Snow White didn't spark controversy the second Disney cast Rachel Zegler, a Latina actress, in the role. But the backlash wasn't just about casting. Disney gutted the soul of the story. No prince, no romance, CGI dwarves in a live-action remake. Make it make sense. They said it was all to avoid reinforcing stereotypes, to modernize the tale, to be more sensitive and inclusive.
But the public didn't buy it.
And South Park? They saw that disaster brewing from miles away. Their parody basically screamed, if you remove everything that made Snow White, what's left besides a marketing campaign? And let's be honest, when South Park smells corporate pandering, it's like candy to them. And Rachel didn't do herself any favors either. Instead of honoring the classic, she trashed it in interviews, calling it outdated, weird, even implying the prince was a red flag. There's a big focus on her love story, with a guy who literally stalks her. Then she told half the country not to watch the movie. I don't need your business. Real smooth, Rachel. She even bragged that the new Snow White wasn't about love at all, saying the prince's role is barely there and might get cut entirely. So fans were furious. Critics were confused. And South Park? Already sharpening their pens. Rachel started sounding less like someone proud to revive a timeless classic and more like someone embarrassed to even be in it. That attitude? Comedy gold on a silver platter for South Park. And of course, they couldn't ignore the bizarre CGI dwarves. Gone were the charming, distinct characters fans loved. In their place, a random assortment of diverse friends that looked like they wandered in from a failed Dungeons & Dragons spinoff. Disney tried to avoid controversy, only to land right in the middle of it. And South Park ran wild, mocking how studios got classics in a desperate attempt not to offend, while ironically offending everyone. The backlash got so bad, Disney reportedly did reshoots, adding the dwarves back in, with CGI, which somehow made everything worse. You'd think the Little Mermaid remake would have taught Disney something. Sure, Halle Bailey's Ariel faced backlash, but at least the movie stuck close to its roots.
Snow White, though?
It's been reworked so hard, it's barely recognizable. And South Park noticed. They mocked Disney's diversity plus modern twist equals profit formula and launched it into orbit. And Rachel's snarky interviews gave them plenty of material. They basically turned her dismissive attitude into a public service announcement. If you hate the story this much, maybe don't star in it. Disney panicked. Rumors say execs even reached out to South Park's parent company, trying to tone things down. But come on, South Park lives for that. Trying to silence them is like throwing rocket fuel on a bonfire. Just ask Tom Cruise and Scientology. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, here comes that rumored DI special, reportedly dropping as soon as August. And yes, it's expected to go even harder on Rachel Zegler and Disney, using the movie's box office flop as a launch pad. And let's be honest, this film flopped.
Hard.
So when South Park drops that next special, it's going to be brutal. So how's Rachel handling all this? Not well, apparently. Insiders say she's furious behind the scenes. She expected praise for delivering a bold, modern twist, not headlines accusing her of ruining a classic and pushing a woke agenda. Instead of red carpets and applause, she's getting memed, roasted, and turned into a punchline by the most savage cartoon on TV. She's reportedly annoyed people think she only got the role to check a box. And South Park dragging her didn't just pour salt in the wound, it dumped the whole shaker. So between Disney's PR flops, Rachel's fiery interviews, and South Park's merciless Panderverse takedown, we've got a full-blown Hollywood meltdown on our hands. And fans? They're loving every second of it. Will Disney actually learn something from this mess? Or will they double down and keep modernizing classics until there's nothing left to modernize? Drop your thoughts in the comments. But until next time,
Keep your classics classic.
keep your satire sharp. And remember, if South Park's roasting you, you probably messed up somewhere along the way.
Peace.